There we go. Perfect. Yay. I know, the little successes. We were just talking before I started hopping on here about how I'm old school when it comes to technology and everything, so
yeah.
That makes me feel better that it took me a second to see that.
Right. Well, I giggled because somebody was suggesting that I also do Instagram for earrings.
Yes.
At the same time. I was like, oh, that's
yeah, you're like, that's a lot. That's, you know, like, good thoughts.
It's cute of you to suggest that, but yeah.
That's so funny. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get this kicked off and started as folks begin to join us and tune into our broadcast today. I am your host, Juliette Abdel, and Fridays at 1 are always my favorite segment since I get to host them, but they are branded as the Self-Care Boss, aka me. I won't belabor or bore you with the why behind that because I've done it a couple of times already, but if you are a new listener and viewer, then thank you for hopping on to KUHS Denver. I ask that you hit the share button on this video, make sure that you like the page, and continue to stay updated on the various shows that we have, and we have quite a bit of them that continue to be streamed throughout the week. Now, our Fridays are always either geared around health or wealth. We generally have a guest that can cross over in both realms or focuses on one strictly in their everyday life. And today, our guest is actually going to talk a little bit about both, mainly about the wealth side, but we'll bleed into some of the health components as well. And before I really get us started and introduce you to one of my favorite guests that's with us this afternoon, a couple things. It is super windy out there.
So windy.
Oh my gosh. And I bet you were so grateful that your hair is not like being fed to you as you're walking on the sidewalk.
You know, there's pluses and minuses. When you have short hair, there's no saving it. So if it goes crazy, I can't throw it in a messy bun or ponytail and still look cute. It's just a mohawk, basically.
Right? You're like totally rocking this way.
Exactly.
So, so that's one thing. If you're out on the road, just be careful driving. If you are walking, then have some sunglasses or something, because I've been getting some chips here and there in my eyes. Not fun to dig out.
No.
And then the last part is, you know, I always try and get you guys to sympathize or commiserate in my misery for the week, and generally it's about something that's random that's happened to me. But this week is actually going to talk to you about Ramadan, which started for me last week. For those of you that don't know, I fast from sunrise to sunset, and that does mean that I basically eat about 8 hours out of the 24 hours in a day. The rest of the time I'm not drinking water or eating food. So I wanted to share that out because I always have questions around this time, right? Like, can you have any water? Can you have any gum, any snack? No, like
no.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is dry from sunrise to sunset. The other component that I always get asked about is how unhealthy or unsafe it is. And I'm sure you've seen the latest fad over the years has been intermittent fasting, which reinforces how it actually helps your body stop the digestive process and then increase your metabolic process in your body. So you start relying more on a different component, and it helps with your digestion overall, and it helps your liver with taking a break. And I know all of us indulge in things that probably aren't that great for
exactly.
So happy Ramadan to all of you that do celebrate it. If you don't celebrate it and you know someone that does, all that you can be supportive of, and that is either to say that to them or just kind of congratulate them on it, honestly. Don't feel bad if you have to eat in front of us or drink. We've been doing it for years.
Right.
It's not a new phenomenon.
I had to drive through Chick-fil-A this morning and order my chicken burrito with no chicken because I'm Catholic, and we are in Lent, and it's Fridays, and we sacrifice meat on Fridays during Lent.
Friday.
So I think the lady was like, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, what do you want?"
You're at Chick-fil-A.
She's like, "So do you want sausage?" I said, "No meat, just the eggs, cheese, and hashies are great."
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
I am commiserating with you today.
You are. Woohoo! If you are another soul that's commiserating with us, feel free to type it in at a later point so we can see that. I do see Brian had. Thanks for joining us on this broadcast today. So I have Nikki, aka Nicole Myers, with me, and I'm so glad that you were able to drive up in this windy weather to join us.
No problem. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I met you, I want to say, at least 3.5, nearly 4 years ago now. So it's 2019.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be right.
So 2019, and then I got to work with you even more closely all throughout 2020, and you are just a beautiful, bubbly soul, and I'm so glad that you're with us today.
Thank you, Juliet. It's COVID years, right? Like,
Yeah,
I have no
totally.
concept of time anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were in 2020, right?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah.
I know. You feel like this entire last couple of years were just like a blink of an eye. Now, you've done some pretty rad things yourself. Personally, you've pursued your own business, and let's talk to people about what that business is first.
Sure. So, I love earrings. When you have short hair, you have to accessorize. And it's kind of my comfort blanket, right? Like, a lot of girls don't like to cut their hair because they say it's my comfort, you know? And so these are my comforts. And I just wanted to share it with people. And so I've lent out so many earrings over the years. I was like, you know what? I bet people would buy earrings.
Instead of just getting,
Instead of just borrowing mine and breaking them, losing them, whatever. So I started an online boutique called The Earring Gal, and I simply started on Facebook doing Facebook Lives and selling inexpensive but very fashion-forward earrings. I jumped into pageant earrings, which is a very niche audience, but they're really hard to find. And anybody that's ever done a pageant, or even when you're looking for prom earrings or wedding earrings or anything like that, it's really hard to find anything bigger with a lot of bling, and that's not super expensive for that one-time wear, right? Like, it's like when you go to buy your wedding dress and you're like, why is this $10,000
oh my gosh,
for one day? And so I try to meet people where they're at with wanting to be fashionable, and finding those very unique pieces, but at a really great price. So all of my casual earrings, something like this, I try to price point right around $5.
Which is a steal. Like, I can't find anything for $5 at any stores that you know that I would want to wear.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Exactly. And then my big blingy earrings that I do for pageants and weddings typically run about $10. So it's a really good deal. So it's a lot of fun. We jump on lives on Facebook and people comment, and it's kind of an auction style. I only
rush to
so I'll call out numbers, and then people comment the number they want, and it's first come, first serve. So it's really fun and engaging, and a lot of people honestly will come on and just watch and chat with us.
Yes,
so that's always fun
and
too.
be part of that experience.
Yeah,
So the Earring Gal is your brand, and I think it describes your business so incredibly well. How did you land? Were you just one day sitting and you're like, hey, this is what I'm going to use to brand myself?
I think my husband and I were discussing it, and my husband actually is a entrepreneurship professor at Arizona State University. So whenever I have like business questions or ideas, I run it by him, and he usually thinks I'm crazy because I come up with all kinds of things over the years. And so I think I just was asking him, like, well, what do you think? And then I was naming all these things, and he was like, well, you're just like the earring gal. Everybody comes to you to borrow your earrings. You're just the earring gal. And I was like, I am the earring gal.
Yes, I've never self-labeled myself. But that is so perfectly said.
So that was the birth of the earring gal.
Okay, and that was a couple of years ago now, or how long has that business?
Yeah, it's been 2 years in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
I know.
That's
Every
awesome.
time I go back, because I'll go back and look at orders I've had previously, and I'll see what sold really well and order some more. And I went all the way back the other day looking through my orders, and it was like April of 21. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on nearly 2 years. That's super exciting.
Very exciting.
And how do you actually just shared something which led me to ask you this next question, and that's how do you decide what items to bring in for women, right? Like, what's the latest thing that they might like, or what you might be able to repeat? Are you testing some of these earrings out? You're like, I love them, so they have to, or is it based on some other metrics that you're factoring in?
It's a little bit of all of it. I definitely start shopping first with my own preferences, and so I have my vendors that I go through, and every so often it's got new products, and so I'll check out what's new and add those to the cart, and then I'll go back to previous couple of sales and see what I wasn't able to fulfill for people, because I only had 5 or 6 of an item, and so I'll go back and add more of those to it, because I know there's some people that want to get it again, and unfortunately sometimes they don't even get it the second time if they don't jump on the live, or They're too slow with those
fingers. You
yeah.
have to literally, so when Nikki's talking about this, it really is that experience of like you're holding the phone and I just swipe over to the comments and start with like my arrow is in there. So I'm ready for as soon as I see that, there's no hesitation. Like, I'm like, this is the one you want. You have to type it in fast.
And it's a numerical order as I'm going. So people will start like typing in like 101. Yeah. And then they'll delete the one and then just wait for 102. Yeah, I mean, there's some tricks to getting the ones you want. Yeah,
I love it.
So then, you know, besides choosing what I want, which tends to be bigger, I do also listen to my clients because I'll get a lot of requests for some smaller items, which I have a hard time shopping for because it's just not something that I wear. And you know, there's a piece of me too that I think, you know, is that worth $5? Which I know it's $5, but I still feel like I don't want to, you know, make people feel like they're not getting their money worth. Totally. Right, exactly. So that is
an interesting and a big part of it too is this customization piece that you focus on, and that's as people request those things, you really try and go out of your way to find those. And you've created that as a great opportunity for you to add those various things that you don't necessarily pick up on your own.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of items that maybe I like, but I'm just not sure that there's going to be enough clientele for it, especially in that pageantry niche, because everybody has different dress styles and colors that work for them and things like that. So buying a bunch of yellow earrings, while I love yellow and I think they're fun and exciting, how many girls are really going to wear yellow on stage? So that's something that I have to think through is like, you know, there's some basic colors that are very much a staple in pageantry as far as black, reds, royal blues, you know, those I feel comfortable. Also, we have what we call the AB crystals, which are these Aurora Borealis.
It's so hard not to just buy every single one.
Well, because they go with everything. Yeah. Because they're the crystals that show all the colors in the light when they get on stage. And so they're perfect with anything. If your other earrings break, you can throw on a pair of AB earrings and you're good to go. Yeah, so I tend to lean towards those safe ones, but Julia has reached out to me before asking for specific colors, specific styles, and I love the hunt. I love to sit there and look.
And you've done so well. I literally have given you screenshots of things that I found, and you find the exact same item, if not better, and it's literally a fraction of the cost. Like those earrings I can find for like $50, $60, even $75, and then you find them for me at like $25, and I'm like, that's nothing. Like, of course I'm gonna buy this and more. So, what has been a challenge, if you feel like there has been any challenges in your business so far?
You know, I think finding the right times to do my lives can be a challenge sometimes because obviously, you know, there's working people, there's people that stay at home, there's people that work night shifts, you know, whatever. And so I do try to mix it up and do some weekend sales, morning time, evening time. I've got 2 kids at home, so it's really also what time my house might be quiet.
Sometimes they're helpers, right? Like
helpers. So it kind of all plays into that. And also, it is a little bit of a process as I am a one-man show, which can be hard, but that's the life of most entrepreneurs, right, is that we do everything. I also have to plan out when I'm going to have a sale based on days that I also have after that to fulfill the orders, package the orders, mail out the orders, ship it all. And that takes me, you know, I think a sale can take me 3 days.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, I believe it. But on the lives, post the lives, and then getting people to, you know, pay on their commitments.
Invoicing
that out. So it is but the nice thing about it is that you've created a business that's adaptable to your schedule and your needs, especially as a mom, as, you know, as someone who's committed in the pageant industry and seeing the success of your business. You've also found a way that you can creatively have a business without the hassle of a storefront or, you know, fixed schedules that are out there.
Absolutely. And, you know, talking about challenges and storefronts, I did launch a website, theearringgal.com, but don't go there because here's the problem.
Do not.
Don't do it. I mean, you know to look, but here's the thing. She snorted. Couple things. Number one, I do have ADHD. Most days I'm medicated and caffeinated. However, I have learned I am not good at inventory.
Oh, the detail.
So I made this beautiful website, and I did make it myself, which I'm very proud of. But at the same time, keeping it up, right?
You're like,
and then
this isn't feeding on its own.
Having the 2 methods of live sales and website sometimes I'll get my website updated and then I have a live sale and all that inventory on the website sold. So now I just have to go through and delete it all.
Oh no, it's almost like you you might want to look at even having different things, right? Like at some point.
Or like, yeah, like have a different little tower of inventory, because I keep these like, they're like those art craft towers on wheels.
Oh, that's so funny.
With all my earrings assorted by color in rainbow order.
And you've got it labeled and branded and all of
so
that.
Maybe I need a separate one that just has website inventory. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
See?
And then that
teamwork.
Yeah. Makes it happen for sure. So the earringgal.com, hopefully if they continue to go to it, you'll see a different type of offering in the future.
Yes.
But you're also on social media, and that's where most of your business takes place. So where can they find you on Facebook or Instagram or any of those platforms?
So as Juliet said earlier, we're not super tech savvy because we're kind of those geriatric millennials. We were the last group that actually didn't have the internet in our homes. So I do Instagram. I really don't. I share your guys' stuff. Like those who post and share their earrings on Instagram, I reshare it. But I don't do my lives on Instagram because it's just too complicated for me. But you can find me on Facebook at The Earring Gal. It's just The Earring Gal on Facebook. But what it is, it's actually a group, and it's a private group. And it's kind of my like secret VIP sale. So you have to join the group, and then we have the lives, and you jump on if you can, and we buy earrings.
Yeah, and when you join the group, you get alerted from you on when you're about to have those events, and hopefully they can either. Something I found, which has been super beneficial, is if I'm even on the road or traveling and you're going, I can still see you. Like you don't have to listen, but you can see the caption come up. So I can see you say like, "Here's number this," and you hold it up. Or if you don't catch it in real time, you can catch it afterward, and then that's even better because then you can see like which ones are there and like quickly go through and do that, and so it saves you the time if you're crunched on it.
And something I stumbled upon too that I never really intended to do, but like Juliet said, I usually say, by the way, if you jumped on late or you missed the whole thing, I'll post it for a couple of days. You guys can watch it and still comment. If I have it, I'll fulfill it. And then I started taking pictures of what was left afterwards, and people, I sell a whole nother batch of it.
They love it. Yeah, because then they can see it all laid out.
All laid out, and just those people that just can't take the time for an hour usually is how long they run. If they can't sit down and watch that even at a later time, they can just look at the pictures and go, okay, here's what I need.
Yeah, that is what I want. That's awesome. So that's one of the hats you wear. You also wear a second hat, and your second hat is coming to a big event that's coming up here over the next couple of weeks. So let's transition into chatting a little bit more about your role as assistant to associate director to the Mrs. Colorado and the Miss Colorado for America Strong pageants.
So, secret, Juliet and I are actually sister queens. We both competed in the Mrs. Colorado and Miss Colorado for America Strong pageants. I won Mrs. Colorado in 2014. Had to think about that for a minute. So I'm almost 10 years out. I know. And when my year was up, you serve a year in your community, and it's all about just, using your crown for good and spreading love and peace and joy everywhere you go.
Totally. Not to sound cliche, but it
really is.
Like, that really is what happens. Like,
and so after my year was over, I looked at our director, Emily, and I said, I'm not ready to go yet. In the most loving way possible. Can you just give me a job to do, and you don't have to pay me? So I don't even get paid for that one.
Oh my gosh.
Which is why I had to start the Earring Gal.
Right? Like, to compensate for everything else.
But I do wholeheartedly believe in the Mrs. Colorado, Miss Colorado for America pageants. I think they are just an amazing opportunity for women to, like I said, get out in the community and serve and spend time on yourself. Speaking of self-care,
totally.
It's a huge part. When I first started competing in Colorado, we just moved here. I knew no one, so it was an opportunity for me to find friends in a new state. And I was in that frumpy mom phase. My little one was turning 2, and I had kind of let myself go. And, it just, you have so many excuses of why not to work out or why.
It's not a priority or right there.
And so my husband was like, no, you're going to do this.
I love that.
Yep. And I was like, okay. And I, had to force myself to work out and all these things, but then it became such a fruitful
experience
and habit, right? Like it became habit, and it's something I'm so grateful for, that I could show my son, like, it's okay to like step away and take some time for yourself.
Right, and put yourself first. And
yes.
You shared something, and that was being a frumpy mom. That was the phrase that you used. Because you don't generally think about that when you think of pageants. And
right.
I think that's a perception that's out there of the types of women that enter pageants. So can you speak a little bit to that?
Sure. So, I mean, as you can see right here, we are two very different people.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, totally.
Beautiful long hair, dark skin, amazing eyelashes.
Yeah.
Look at those lashes. And right. Promo Max Lash. I have short hair. You know, I'm 5'4" nothing, 5 foot nothing, 5'4". I'll give myself a 5'4". Okay. But yeah, I had definitely fallen into like my yoga pants and sweatshirt phase of momhood, and you know, it was again an opportunity to take care of myself, to force myself to get up and get dressed and put makeup on, and work out. We have women from all walks of life. I mean, we have a mother-daughter competing this year.
Yeah.
The mother competed like 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And so she's in her like 60s now, and her daughter is competing as well.
That's exciting.
We've had 3 generations compete together.
Yeah.
Mother, daughter, grandma.
Okay.
And so
I think there was another state that actually ended up crowning. Was it Arkansas?
Oh, that's amazing.
Or Alabama?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
that's
it
amazing.
was the mom in the misses, and then the daughter in the miss, and you're like,
that's
how
awesome.
cool is that?
It's so cool. I mean, it's one of those things that, again, everybody I tell this to goes, oh, I could never do a pageant, or oh, I'm not a pageant girl, like Juliet said. And I'm telling you guys, it is so different from like the Miss America or Miss USA pageant systems, which is what everybody knows, right? The Donald Trump pageant, right? Like, and you're like, it's not like that at this point, because most of us are slightly older than those girls, if not significantly older.
Yes, right?
And so it really is like a women's retreat. It's an opportunity for you to connect with like-minded women, right? Somebody that wants to do good in their community, I think, is the most underlying similarity between us. Then it comes down to people who I think, you know, have that health conscious mindset. And then I think it comes down to stepping into your comfort zone, right? Pushing yourself to do something that you wouldn't normally do. I mean, we get that all the time where somebody's like, I've never done a pageant, I've never walked on stage in heels, I've never walked in heels. And it's just a way to say, you know what, you can, right? And you meet so many amazing women from all around the state, and then if you are lucky enough to be crowned, you move on to a national pageant in Las Vegas.
Right, which is so fun-filled.
Oh my gosh, it's a whirlwind, but again, like, you get to feel so glamorous for a week, and you get to meet women from all over the country that are lifelong sisters.
Yeah, they stay in touch, and it's there were a few things that I want to unpack in your comments, and one of those you were sharing about the heels part, right? And post-COVID, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's like everything has been downgraded even more in terms of like expectation on showing up, whether it's to business meetings, gala functions. It's just everyone does the bare minimum. And, you know, I'm not that. Like, I will never show up somewhere just wearing, you know, anything that. And so this is an opportunity for those that may not be in a similar sphere, where they can dress it up to go ahead and get out there around people that are okay with that and not have those weird glances.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's funny because the week kind of has its ups and downs. We start on a Wednesday. And we have an orientation, and it's actually, we always theme it as a party. So this year's a floral theme. Ooh, okay. So everybody will be wearing something floral. It doesn't have to be a floral outfit. It could be just a floral hat or floral shoes or whatever. You know, and then we have our interviews, which is 50% of your total score, which I think is amazing, because it's the judges listening to your plan and who you are and what you want to do with this title. And then we have our competition. The first competition is on a Thursday night. We have evening gown and swimwear. We wear a modest one-piece swimsuit. We even give you a sarong to wrap around your waist. You can keep that sarong on the whole time, or you can flaunt your cute booty that you worked on in Pilates. But what I love then is Friday, right? Friday we love to call like the powwow day.
Yeah.
We rehearse all day long, but we get to wear a fun like matching t-shirt that has the theme of
Yes,
the year, and
yeah.
then like leggings or jeans and flat shoes usually.
Yes, yeah. Give
but
yourself a break.
the best part is that we have a luncheon, right?
Yeah.
And we usually have a former queen that comes and talks to us, or an inspiration, like an inspirational speaker or something to that effect. And again, I mean, 90% of the time, I would say there's tears and there's, breakthroughs for people. And again, just kind of that moment to be able to like not be doing laundry, you're taking care of your kids or going to work or whatever, the hustle, the grind.
Every day.
Yeah, and you're around all these women who are supporting you and lifting you up, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
I'm so glad that you gave us a nice overview of what that retreat holistically looks like,
Right?
Because often people would probably assume that the stage presence, which is what they turn on TV and see, is what happens the whole time, and it isn't. It's built into this entire program where you bond with the other women and where you yourself get to kind of experience it on your own. You shared the 50% component of interview where you can share more about yourself and your plans, right? And that leads me to the question of, does every woman have a specific plan or a specific cause, or here's something that they have to go out and do? Like, are they required, or what is the view on that?
Sure. So unlike the Miss America pageant, we are not what's called a platform pageant. So you don't have to have that specific thing. I know you do, which is amazing. And I absolutely encourage, if you have something that you're passionate about and that's what you want to bring, absolutely, 100% bring it. I was considered to be what we call a potluck queen. I just love everybody and want to help everybody. So I just bring my dish to every party. So I have a heart for kids organizations. So I did a lot with Make-A-Wish and Children's Hospital, things like that. But I also went up to Idaho Springs during a snowstorm to be there for the I'm going to forget what the name is now, but it's one of the veterans organizations, and it was like at their little lodge. There were maybe like 40 people there.
Especially if it's snowing like that.
It was snowing like crazy. I'm still relatively new to Colorado at the time. I'm in heels.
Did not know I
did not know that like I should switch shoes. So then I'm like climbing this little hill from where I parked in heels. But they were so grateful. They were so grateful that I was there. It was like all these old men and their wives. They had an auction, and when I say auction, they were like auctioning off quilts that their wives made, American flags. Like, it was just the sweetest thing. And I was so glad that I didn't like just back out and be like, I'm not driving in the snow. Because it made these guys' year, right? Like, or event at least. Maybe not their year. They changed their lives with my appearance in the snow. I wonder how many times Juliet snorts on these. Am I like hitting a record today?
That is hilarious. I have made their entire lives.
Changed them for the better forever. Yes.
But the accountability piece is a big factor because it pushed you to have to go. Like, you knew that you committed, and then you started going out there and you're like, oh shoot,
oh dear,
like, what am I going into? But you still kept doing it because you knew you had this goal of not only making their event great and their whole lives better, but that you had this duty for the title that you were holding.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the pieces I think that some women don't necessarily know coming into it. And so that would be something that I do wish maybe we could, and that's on us, like, to convey a little bit more, is that, it is a flexible schedule for sure. Like, it's, again, like the Miss America, Miss USA's, you actually like have
that becomes your job.
You have to quit school. You have to quit your job. Totally. It's an actual thing. We understand that these are married women, women with jobs, women with kids, whatever, and it can't be your whole world, and we know that. We ask that maybe you could do like one event a month.
Right.
Totally. But the cool thing is, like, you can bring your family. You can bring your friends.
And it's even more of an enriching experience when you do that, because then they get to see and understand what you're doing. There's this meme that's out there, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's like what people think of a pageant title holder. It's like your friends think you're boozing it up. Your parents think you're just spending everything in the world on these, items, and no one really has a sense of what it is you actually do. And that's a great way that they can know more.
Absolutely. I mean, my son was 3 when I won. but he loved coming. You know, I did the pancreatic cancer walk, and he thought that was the coolest thing to come be a part of and see me on the stage. And you know, then they ask questions. You know, well, what's pancreatic cancer? And then that's an opportunity for me as a mom to explain things to him, and they love it. They think it's great. So
that is awesome. So this year's program is coming up.
It is.
And
I have to check my calendar.
Right, and women, and as you're doing that, I'll share. You know, this is an opportunity to go watch, even if you don't have a friend or family or a loved one in there, right? I know when I went out there, I always say that it was, you know, the universe and God was kind of laying everything out. But I had found out about the actual Mrs. Colorado, and someone had approached me for a sponsorship, and I was like, I'm just going to go out and watch it. Went out and watched it and learned about the Miss Colorado for America, which was the newer program. That was the first year that it was crowned. So it's kind of, it lined out. But I say all that to say you can go by yourself, you can go with a friend, you can go if someone is there that's competing or not, that you know. And there are a couple of times that they can go and see this, right?
Right. So the Thursday night competition is going to be on April 6th.
Okay.
And that is at the Void Studios down on South Broadway.
Yes.
And so what that is, like I said, is the girls have already competed in interview competition earlier that day at a hotel. It's behind closed doors with the judges. But then Thursday night they get to come, and it's like a fashion show. So they each get to pick their own evening gown. So they'll model in their evening gown, and then they all wear a same swimsuit style and model their swimsuit. But it's a great opportunity to see all the women at one time. And if you're not really into like a long show, which is our Saturday night show, that might be the one for you. And it's a little bit of a cheaper price point. I want to say it's $30 for the ticket to that. And it's at 6 o'clock on April
3rd or Thursday, the
6th.
Yeah, Thursday the 6th at Void Studios.
At Void Studios. And we giggle because I told Juliet, I'm like, I don't even know what days it is because I just know the date range, and I'm the runner. I just am there all day, every day during the pageant.
Just know I'm going to be blocked off, so I'll look at it around. I totally get that.
I just jump on the bus and go.
And Void Studios is the perfect location for that type of fashion show experience. I've gone out there and I've even done a lot of photography. If you haven't been out to Void, this is a great opportunity for you to check them out.
It's super cool.
So the higher price point, it's higher why, and where is that in the time?
On Saturday, do you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so Saturday is higher in price point because it is at the prestigious, beautiful Ellie Calkins Opera House in downtown Denver at the Denver Performing Arts Center. I mean, that's a reason to go anyway if you haven't ever been to the Ellie.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
I mean, it's breathtaking. Yeah. You know, and it's really exciting to see someone get crowned. If you want to giggle, go to mrscolorado.com and look at the 2014 pageant. Because I have a really great ugly cry face.
She was so excited.
My mouth is open in every photo because I'm just doing this awful.
Like every single one. That's true. That is so true.
But you know, you like Juliet said, you don't need to even know someone. It's almost like the Derby or Miss America, whatever. You turn it on and you're just like, I want this person to win. Yeah. For whatever reason, and then you just follow them through their journey of, you know, they call out a top 10 and then they call out a top 5 and then they, you know, narrow it down one by one. And I mean, it's just amazing to see somebody accomplish something so big. And I mean, we actually are one of the largest pageants in the country, for the Mrs. level anyway. And so it's a huge accomplishment. For
it's big.
These women. Yeah,
absolutely. So that is your plug to free up yourself either Thursday or Saturday and make it out to these programs. mrscolorado.com.
Yep, mrscolorado.com will have all the ticket information and times and where you're supposed to be, because I don't know.
She knows 6 o'clock. Yes, she did share both of them, and there are social media platforms for both of the pageants.
Yep, so at Mrs. Pageant on Instagram, and then on Facebook we have Mrs. Colorado, and then we have a separate Facebook group for our Miss Colorado for America.
So much great things that you're accomplishing and doing, Nikki. We talked about very early on your entrepreneurial journey, starting up that business, the support block you had at home, and the vetting of ideas, and how that idea came to life, really. And that's from yourself and your heart in helping others. I know when I needed you were like, if you need anything, let me know, when I was heading to National. So I knew that you naturally had this give back that you're doing, and you're doing that continually by finding the earrings that are at a price point and meeting those people's needs. So I love to hear that success that you've had for nearly 2 years now with the Ear and Gal, and then your other hat of continuing to serve the unpaid for like the pageant industry, which is huge because we need more people that not only represent the different parts of our community, but have been through some of the walks of life that we've all been through, right?
Yeah.
And can relate to others. So
Yep.
thank you for sharing all that.
You're welcome.
Was there anything I didn't ask you that you were hoping to get out to folks?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I hope that people can understand how pageantry really can be self-care, because I know
Yeah.
that's,
Oh,
it can be stressful too, for sure.
Totally.
That week, it's like a wedding.
however you choose to make it, right? Like you got your bridezillas for a reason, right?
Right.
Like they have particular expectations on themselves.
Sure.
And that can translate in anything. That can translate in sports, and
100%.
pageantry, it's one of those. So it really is what you make out of it.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
if you go into it just thinking, like, what can I get out of this? What can I walk
Right.
away with? And again, for me, it started out as friends
Yeah.
and turned into sisters. And
Yeah.
like I said, I now have this passion for meeting these new women that come every year, because it's
Totally.
always rotating, right? It's
Yeah.
not really usually the same people, and helping them through that journey. And it does bring me so much joy just to like help in any way that I can, and hope that they have a great experience doing it.
Well, thank you so much again for sharing more about you, your experience, and your past experience with the pageant system and how you're still staying plugged in. For those of you that are interested, we will drop in some links into the chat, hopefully, once I'm back off the road and can get to where I can drop that for you all. And I hope you take the time to learn more about Nikki's business, the Ear and Gal, and of course, the pageant industry as well. But with that, I'll give you guys a few minutes actually back to your afternoon, and hope that you can continue to rewind and rewatch and replay our videos. We'll be back on here next week with the Colorado Women's Alliance. So excited for you to learn more about that organization and what Joni's doing out there, killing it, particularly right after Women's Month. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Nikki, for being here.
Thanks, Juliet.
Dance. Be a DJ here.
Should have a dance party.
Good. That out. So this didn't always like the mics were like on when Sylvia and I were talking.
No.
So like I'm over here like, how is national? And she was like, well, I didn't like this. And so then I was like, well, that was like the Miss America pageant I was in. Those girls were cats. Oh gosh, I was like spilling the tea. So I get home and I'm like, that night I play it and I'm like, shit, I can hear the starter. And I reach out to her. And I turn it on.
I just gotta make sure that you didn't do it last time, remember?
Yeah. No, it's because of that one time. He's like on it now. Because he knows. And I was like, oh my god, Henry, you gotta clip this shit and get it off. And then I like messaged Sylvia. I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, yeah.